Now for the show that's truly too hot to handle. It's The Melting Pat, and it starts right now.
You're listening to The Melting Pat. Here's your host, Pat Johnson.
Well, thank you, Jerome. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the show, The Melting Pat, the Next Level Network. We are here, ready to do a thing. Today is a big day, longer episode, so strap in, get comfortable, or, check out after this. Whatever you want to do. I don't mind. So, the reason that it is longer and a special day is that we have a guest. Alvaro returned to the show because Wormtooth has a new album coming out September 2nd. The Yellow Tapes, Man in the Long Coat, Act 1. Or wait, what is it? I'm sorry. It's the Yellow Tapes, Act 1, right? I said it in the thing. The Man in the Long Coat is the first part of this trilogy that he's working on. So he came back to talk all about it. There is a link to the Indiegogo, which is not, as you hear this, it is still open. So you can still make some requests, get some, is that how it works? Get some limited stuff. So go ahead and click on that. That's in the show notes at themeltingpat.com. And wormtooth.net is where you find more from him. So that's what's going on with the show today. I do have some stuff to talk about, but we're going to save it for another time because, well, we have a guest, and like I said, it's a longer show. So why would I do more work than I've already done? Right? Right. So here we go. This, again, wormtooth.net for more from him and the album. The Yellow Tapes Act 1, The Man in the Long Coat, comes out, I think I got it right, comes out on September 2nd. So this is me and Alvaro for, essentially Wormtooth Part 3. There we are. All right, you're back. You made it back to the show. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. Also, just like real quick, I don't know whether I come onto your show as Alvaro or as Wormtooth.
I think the first time when you came on with Ron, hi Ron, I don't know if Ron listens when you're on or at all, you were Alvaro, but every other time it's been Wormtooth.
Okay, great.
Which I think this is your
third Wormtooth appearance. This is my third Wormtooth.
Yeah, because the last time you were here, is it 5 total? Let me think.
6 total. Because one time I came on not for music, but to do the Disney villains thing.
Well, that was the same appearance. We made that one episode.
Oh, you did combine them. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like the longest episode that I've ever had, I think.
Amazing.
Because we spent like an hour and 20 on Disney villains.
I am somewhat long-winded when it comes to things that you can be opinionated about.
It was awesome. It's fantastic. So
I'm so glad.
You're really trying to set a record here for most appearances on this program.
Yes.
You may be in the lead. I'll look it up later.
Probably in the lead for musical category.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. For just coming on because you have a new. Well, the joke at the beginning was you're just going to keep starting new projects.
I know.
And come on as that.
I thought about that today, and I was like, a third time with the same project? Who do I think I am, Mr. Fancy Pants?
It's good, though. So we kind of get to go through like the whole history of Wormtooth has been documented on this show.
I have it on my website. There's like I have a section for press, and I have it in my EPK, my appearances here, because it's actually a very good, I think, like explanation of what the project is and stuff.
Oh, wonderful! I will send you the links because we changed websites, so I had to re-upload the interviews. So I'll send them all to you today.
I think I have them like uploaded on my page, so that
nice.
Because like for the EPK, you really just want everyone to be able to like the EPK electronic press kit. In case people don't know, just like when you send it to like a venue or whatever, it's like, you don't want them to have to worry about somebody else's site is down. They're not going to listen to the whole interview. But the fact that it's there and they can hear 5 minutes of it, like, is really what I want.
That's true. That's a solid point.
That's me.
Yeah. So you got
solid
all right.
Points.
So you're a solid point, and I'm a less hateable Gaston, right?
Right.
There's a throwback for anybody who remembers that far behind us.
I've been talking about Gaston somewhat recently, and thinking about that episode, and I was thinking it'd be really great to see a high concept, like the Sandman or Breaking Bad or whatever, like real like high concept show called Gaston that is Beauty and the Beast, but told from Gaston's point of view.
So you want another gritty reboot of a kid's property?
Yeah, but specifically, this would be more like Wicked,
Okay.
right? Where it's like, oh, yeah, of course they look bad when you only see this side. That's the premise, but he does look bad. Like, the premise is he is still like, it doesn't make him look better. In fact, sometimes it's like, oh, he had a moment of realization, and then he did it anyway. Like,
he knew it was wrong, and he decided to keep going.
Right.
Yeah. Because, fun fact, Gaston actually is just a piece of
turns
That's all
out,
it is.
Not great. Not great.
Turns out he actually sucks in a live action reboot as well.
Yeah.
Although they did a live action
Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
They've done a couple.
I remember it was like 2015 or so. Emma. Yeah, crap.
But there was also a TV show.
The Harry Potter girl. What's her name? Emma something. Damn it. Watson? Emma Watson?
Watson.
That sound right?
Yep.
That was I enjoyed the movie in spite of not remembering anyone's name. I liked the movie.
Oh, yeah. There was what's it called? There was a show back in the day, like in the 90s, that was like Beast was just a guy wearing a bunch of makeup.
Yeah.
And it was like what's it called? What's the vampire one? Where everyone the vampire werewolf one where it's like, oh, you took a horror thing and made it a romance thing.
Twilight?
Was like Twilight. It was in that style a little earlier than that. Just a TV show about Beauty and the Beast.
Huh. I'll put it in the I'll look it up and put it in the show notes for anybody who wants to check it out. Because I have no recollection of it at the moment. That's wow.
Do you remember Zoobly Zoo?
Zoobly Zoo. It rings a bell. I have no concrete memories.
Well, then never mind. That was just like a weird kids show that had like a bunch of like people wearing like weird makeup and costumes and stuff. And I was going to compare the two. But if you don't know it, then that doesn't actually help much.
Fair. Okay. Fair. I do see. I'm looking at this press kit you sent, which you were very excited to send me. You said before we started. I see that as of today, you're over your goal.
Yes.
So congratulations. Good for you.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's awesome, man. I did not contribute because again, babies are a lot and they're expensive.
Oh yeah,
but,
but that's okay.
In case anyone doesn't know.
You're contributing by doing this interview.
I'm giving you my time, which I can't get back.
That's true.
That sounds like it's going to be terrible, but every time you've come on the show, it's been fun. So it's going to be great.
But yeah, the Indiegogo went well. I mean, we still have 15 days left. I don't know when this goes up.
I don't know. Probably. What did we say? Hold on. So today is the 19th. This will go up on the 27th, I think.
Okay. So then people will still have like 5 days.
Okay. There you go.
As of right now, though, we sold out of all of our VHS tapes. I'm going to try to make more, but like you have to kind of hand make them. And the VCR we were using broke one of the tapes, and we were able to fix it. But then we couldn't use the tape we were using to copy, so we had to use a different copy tape. And then the VCR stopped working. So we'll see. I'm going to try to make more, but we sold the 6 copies I literally own. So. Oh,
so you don't have any of your own?
There's like the original, but the original, there's a difference between the original and the copies because there is a device we use to copy it that adds in all of this other effect.
Okay.
But yeah, the VHS I was very excited about, and I did not think we would sell more than maybe one to like one of my big fans or whatever, but that's the one that sold out pretty quickly. And now I'm trying to think about making stretch goals. Because that's the big thing. When you reach your goal early, you want to make stretch goals so that people know what they're contributing past the goal.
And then there's a lot here, though. There are a lot of I guess incentives is the word for people contributing. There's like the card pack that you've made yourself. There's the cassettes. There's the posters. The T-shirt, of course. You're big on T-shirts. I know that.
Yeah.
And I love this poster, by the way.
Thank you.
Did you made that?
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's great. I'm gonna have to try to get one at some point. I think I have some room on the walls here, so we'll see.
Yeah.
So actually, I want to hear about this card thing because I don't know anything about. Is it tarot cards? Tarot cards? How do you say
tarot
that?
cards? Yeah,
tarot cards.
So
I know very little about them. But you made your own deck.
Yeah, so I've been doing a lot of stuff with algorithm art, AI art, both feeding in, text prompts and stuff. But then also, once I get the art back, I often like to edit it or digitally paint on it or what have you. But this card, this tarot deck is all done in this one specific style of AI that I used. And it's like an 81 card deck. Most tarot card decks are 78 cards. This one has 3 unique cards that don't exist in the regular tarot.
Oh, wow.
I'm sending out... So I actually have a deck that I call the Decay tarot deck. So the decks that people can buy are like a copy of it. This is actually it I'm showing you in the the video. So the cards, like just so you can see, are like vaguely like surreal art, but people keep the card. So when I give you a reading from it, you keep the card as that's your card. The deck gets smaller, which is why it's called the Decay tarot, because it's, decaying.
That's very clever, first of all.
Thank you.
Is that normal in tarot cards that people get to keep them or no?
No.
Okay.
Generally speaking, you keep it together. You keep your deck together, and a deck is like a personal thing. It is for me, but I love Wormtooth is really about creativity and inspiring creativity, and others is like one of the best things that could possibly happen with the project, So the reading that I give is a 1-card reading, but it's not about your life and it's really specifically about creative stuff. And like it's a reading about your creativity or your your passions, your art or what have you. I've done a handful of them now. I was actually, before we started this, I was going through the Indiegogo and picking out, doing the readings for all of the people that have submitted. There's currently 30 backers. I did not realize how long that would take. But I wanted to get all of those cards before I do a show, because I do the readings at shows as well.
Oh, okay. Got it.
And so that's the solution. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we're going to pretend that never happened. And no, we're not. It's fine. Peek behind the curtain. I had to make sure everybody was getting recorded, and it's better to stop now than an hour from now at the end of this or whatever. So we're back. It's all going to be spliced together. It'll be fine. So yeah, tarot cards, I have a very limited knowledge, but you've made decks with extra cards and people get to keep those. When you do when you do a reading at a show, that's where we were.
Yes.
You do a reading at a show.
Yes.
And then whatever card I've never done a tarot reading, but so whatever card is drawn for that person, normally you would keep it, but instead they now keep that card?
Right. So basically you would use the deck to show them something about themselves. Every time you get a reading, all of the cards are in the deck. You have an equal chance of getting the Ace of Swords as you do of getting Death or, God forbid, the Tower. In this one, once somebody gets the Ace of, I was about to say the Ace of Spades, which is not
the Ace of Spades.
The Ace of Swords. You can't get the Ace of Swords anymore. It's out. It's gone.
Okay. So it's like playing for keeps with Pogs.
Correct. It's exactly like playing for keep with Pogs or ante with Magic.
There you go. I knew we were going to get a Magic reference in here because you're
gotta
big.
Gotta get them in there. Gotta get them in there somewhere. So I do these. So I think the thing I was saying was it's about creativity. So I kind of do it also. As you saw, some of the cards are they're surreal, and the AI art that I use is very surreal in its style. And so I also kind of ask people, kind of like a an ink blot test. I ask people to describe what they see. And so not just what the card means, but also what you view the card as is how I kind of give you your creative reading. And like what, and that could be things to focus on, things that are causing you problems, what have you.
That's pretty neat. Yeah, so they could see like, hey, I think this looks like, I don't know, I got nothing, but this looks like this. And so do you then tailor the reading to that?
Yes,
in a way?
I try to include what they said. Someone recently was getting a reading of one of them, and they mentioned that the person looked like they were cut in half, and so that was a big part of what the reading was. You know, like dream interpretation or any other thing. Sometimes it's about getting to what that means to them more than anything.
Okay.
You know, it's just a way of reflecting on specific aspects of yourself, I guess.
And people are super into this at your shows? They're diving in?
So I have only offered it so far. This is the second show I've offered it at.
Okay.
So the amount of people who have gotten readings this might be the first show I've offered it at, actually. I did a couple of readings for people that I did creative projects with. And then I have just started doing it for the Indiegogo. Today I have a show, and it is going to be the first one where I am offering readings at the merch table.
All right. This will be out by the time, that'll be over by the time this is out. So I hope it went well. I'm sure it did. And that everyone enjoyed their cards.
Right. And if people are in the Philly area, they can go get a reading on September 2nd at Century Bar. It's a bar in Philadelphia.
There you go. Wonderful. So get a reading.
That's the release show for the album.
Tell him I sent you, and he'll know who I am.
Right. If you tell me that you heard about us on the Melting Pat podcast, I'll give you some extra stickers and stuff.
Oh, wow. See that? Drop my name, get some stickers and stuff. You're welcome, everybody.
And I'll definitely tell Pat too.
Yeah.
Like that's or not. If you don't want Pat to know, I won't tell Pat. It'll be our little secret.
Ooh. Mystery. See, that's kind of the other part of Wormtooth is there's a lot of mystery going on, and I like that now I'm being included in it. So thank you. It's a lot of like, okay, here's what we have, and then so now with this new project, the Yellow Tapes, Act 1, The Man in the Long Coat.
Yes.
Did I get that right?
Yep.
All right, great. I read what you wrote here. See, thanks for writing all this stuff for me to read. So I sound like I know. I sound like I did research beyond this.
Yeah, you sound like an expert.
Thanks, man.
If you didn't say you were reading it, it would be like just like completely shattered. It's like, wow.
I can't lie to the people, Alvaro. I don't have it in me. So this is, I see this is going to be a 3-part, obviously. It's obviously more than one if you have Act 1. Although if you did just say Act 1 and then never released in Act 2, that would kind of be like a Wormtooth thing to do. Be like, well, they told us we couldn't do it.
One of my favorite things, one of my favorite fictions ever, there is an episode of The Venture Brothers called Escape from the House of Mummies Part 2. And it starts with a previously on The Venture Brothers, and it shows stuff that never happened. And then we get a Part 2 that doesn't resolve and then says next time on The Venture Brothers, and we never get to see it. There was never an Escape from the House of Mummies 1, never an Escape from the House of Mummies 3. I love that kind of stuff where you just get dropped in and you're like, wait, what? Where's the rest of this?
That's funny.
Yeah.
I like that so much. That reminds me of if you've ever seen Mike Tyson Mysteries, was an animated show a couple of years ago.
I don't think I saw commercials and stuff. I don't think I've actually watched the show.
It's utterly ridiculous, and we loved it. And the intro, like usually with an animated show or any show, the intro is like stuff that's happened or that's going to happen in the season you're watching. But with this, the intro was stuff that never happened in the show. And then they did an episode of like, hey, remember this? Remember when I punched a dinosaur and like this? And like, Mike, that never happened. It was like a fever dream or something like that. But the whole intro is just like a collage of things that never happened in the show. It's hilarious.
That's awesome.
And then they called back to it and they're like, what are you talking about? That never happened. It was it's so great. Watch Mike Tyson Mysteries. I think it's still on Hulu.
tangent to another show about another show, but that reminds me of the second episode of Clerks, the cartoon.
Oh, right.
Which was a clip show
Yeah.
of the first episode of Clerks. Because there was only one episode to do a clip show from. And they just keep showing the same, like, there's like 3 clips that got shown like 40 times, like just shorter and shorter and shorter each time.
That's fantastic. Clerks 3 coming soon.
Yeah, it's true.
By the way, in case anyone doesn't know.
But yeah, that's kind of stuff has always been part and parcel to what I like to do. I like to drop people in the middle of something and kind of let them have to figure it out through what I've given them, right? Because it's not necessarily that there's a given mystery, right? It's not like you could say like, oh, what is the mystery in this one? It's like, no, it's just like a bunch of stuff that I have to figure out what happened, kind of. And that's always been my favorite type of fiction.
Yeah, it's like we're given part of the story, kind of like here's where we're going, and then we don't always get the rest implicitly. Like we kind of have to fill in the blanks as we go along, which I think is really has what made this whole project kind of stand out to me anyway, where it's like, yes, there's a story being told, but it's not being fed to you. Like you kind of have to infer some things here and there, and you still get the whole picture once you sit down and go, okay, well, this connects to that part. And then that is, that's how we got to the space we're in now.
Right.
At least I think that's what it is. Does that make any sense to anyone else?
No, totally. Absolutely. And so for the first album, Breach, there was the whole ARG I did called The Man in the Long Coat.
Yes.
And it doesn't get mentioned anywhere on Breach. It doesn't have any like references or anything. So there's a lot of what do these two things have to do with each other? And in a lot of ways, I think this album is the first time that I've gone back to one of those questions and kind of explored it more. Because that's what this is a reference to the ARG from Breach.
So now we all have to have been along for the ride the whole time to have any clue what you're talking about.
So that's the thing, though. You don't. You can. I really wanted to make this album self-contained. Even though it's a part 1, I wanted it to feel like its own complete thing. But then if you Google Man in the Long Coat, or if you look up stuff about the Man in the Long Coat, there's all this other backstory that you can explore. And that I really enjoy. I really enjoy someone who's like, oh, this is cool, this thing about the Man in the Long Coat. I wonder what if that's based on something from the internet, or, like Slender Man or what have you. And being able to have someone go back and be like, oh, there's like a bunch of pages on this website devoted to the Man in the Long Coat.
Yeah,
I like that.
I'm looking at it right now, and you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I'm not giving anything away, but I am confirming what you said for the people.
Yeah.
In case anyone is too lazy to look it up, I did it for you. You're welcome.
I won't tell you, but yes, the end.
I'm not gonna tell you what I found, other than yes, there's a lot here.
Mm-hmm.
So I like this. Like Wormtooth is kind of, you've always done a lot with physical media, which I think is great because not everyone does that anymore. I mean, you know, cassettes and vinyl have kind of made a resurgence in the last, I don't know, 5-10 years or so. But I feel like every instance of your project or your whatever new project you come on here to promote always includes physical media. And is that something that's been requested, or is that something that you have decided, like, this is where I want to go with this project?
So it's where I want to go with the project. I specifically, one of the things I say in the Indiegogo video is I want people to be able to hold the anomalous item in their hands. Like, I want people to hold the thing that they're reading about in their hands. A book that influenced me a lot in the writing of this particular album is a book of short stories by Robert Chambers called The King in Yellow. And The King in Yellow is a book of short stories. They're not really connected, except that they all start with like excerpts from a play called The King in Yellow. like at the beginning of the short story, it has like a little excerpt, and then they sometimes, in some of them, a character is reading a book called The King in Yellow, and it makes them crazy. Like, it makes them become insane, or have weird magic powers or curses or whatever. It has this weird power over them. And something about reading a book that mentions the book you're reading, it's very
meta.
Yeah, it's but it also makes you feel like a character in the universe. When I watch like Game of Thrones, I am a person from our world watching a movie. When I read The Hobbit, I'm a person from Middle Earth reading Bilbo's journal.
Okay.
And when I'm holding the book, I can see myself holding this journal, in a way. I've always been drawn to media that begs you to imagine yourself as a character later on figuring all of this out in the same world.
Like you're the one, like you're getting the story later, or like you're finding the story, like you said, finding Bilbo's journal. Like, yes, I am in this world, I am immersed into this story, and
exactly.
Yeah, it does give you like a better understanding and a deeper connection to the story that you're going through.
Right. And it does lend itself to the thing we were talking about not explaining some things, just because like he doesn't explain to everyone in his journal what Middle Earth is, because if you're reading this, you're from Middle Earth. He doesn't tell you what elves are, because you know what elves are. Everyone in Middle Earth knows what elves are.
You might be an elf reading the journal.
Right. Exactly. And that kind of, I don't know. I've always, like, the Blair Witch was another one that really influenced me a lot.
Love it. Love the Blair Witch.
That, and it's one of those things where it feels like you are in the world. Like you leave that movie. I think that movie didn't have like any warnings saying that it was fictional, and in fact may have at the beginning had a thing that said all of this stuff actually happened, or it's based on a
yeah. So the whole thing was it was in '99 that came out. So like internet was a thing, but it wasn't like anybody can go on anytime and find out all the information. So they made like a fake website and with fake newspaper clippings and like, hey, and like the kids on the documentary crew didn't show up to press things because they were deemed missing. And so the whole thing was like, yep, these kids are we don't know where they are. We just found these tapes. They're like, oh, we found these, like they showed old like newspaper clippings that weren't real, because this whole thing is fiction. But going in, like, for me, Blair Witch, and not to get off on a thing, but I love the Blair Witch Project.
I could talk about Blair Witch for days.
Yeah, like going into that movie, believing the whole story because once you watch it the first time, it's like, oh my God. Then you watch it again, you're like, oh, well, that's fake because this and whatever. But kind of almost shutting off your brain, not really, but immersing in the world of, yep, this is a thing that happened. They went to the woods in Maryland and they didn't come back. We just found these tapes. And I think like having to, I mean, I'm a wrestling fan, so suspending disbelief is nothing new for me. So I think you kind of have to do that with some of these projects where, like, of course, that couldn't really happen in the real world, but what if it did? What if it did? Like, how much more immersive is this story if we just kind of turn off and go, you know what? Let's all take this as much as we can at face value.
Right. And I actually, the finding the tape aspect, I'm doing a thing with a group called Shadow Studios. They do music videos and live videos for bands. If you've seen any of my live videos on YouTube, they did they shot all of the live videos, and we're working on a music video right now for the song No Gods, No Masters. And while we were working on that, we also shot the ARG for this one, which is called Do Not Watch, which is it's done like the Blair Witch in that style, where they were on a shoot for something else. They were doing something else, and they found a VHS tape, a yellow VHS tape that says "Do Not Watch." And we're currently, I think they're posting it on TikTok and on YouTube. think on their Instagram too. Instagram is at Made by Shadow Studios. YouTube always has like a weird, complicated thing.
Yes.
And their TikTok is also at Made by Shadow Studios. You could follow those links to the YouTube. But I think he's actually posting the 4th update on YouTube today. The TikTok updates are different than the YouTube ones. So we're telling like a story that you kind of have to go to different platforms, because he's just posting it. They're just posting it as if it was happening, you know?
Okay.
And a lot of people have responded to the TikTok ones because there's no like disclaimer that says this isn't real. This is part of a thing, you know? Yeah, that's been a lot of fun. And that's really where the yellow VHS comes into play, is from that video. So that's going to be I think that's kind of neat. And if people like Blair Witch, it's a fun thing to follow.
I like it. I like it a lot. And you're back with Bulb for a little bit on this album, right?
Right. So I actually asked Bulb to give me some. I was about to say to give me some noise, and then it just sounds like I'm in front of a crowd being like, "Give me some noise." But he's a noise artist, so I asked him to give me some noise for one of the tracks, and so there is it's a Neil Young cover, actually.
Nice.
Called Solo Number 5, I think. It's from the Dead Man soundtrack.
Okay.
The score to Dead Man, which is a Jim Jarmusch film. It's like a black and white cowboy movie. Jim Jarmusch also did Ghost Dog. And I've always really loved this movie, but the soundtrack is made by Neil Young, and it's just him playing an electric guitar, like I think twice. He watched the movie twice, recorded it, and that's what the album is. And
nice.
The score is really phenomenal if you can find it online. I really, really love it. It's been really influential to me. But that cowboy sound is something that I've really been kind of obsessed with lately. And it's like there's a lot of that in the guitar on this album. So I covered that, I say cover, but it's an instrumental song. So
okay.
It's a little weird to call it a cover, because I put, there's talking over top of it. Maybe interpolation is better, but yeah, I don't know if everybody knows what that is, and it just felt whatever. I'll just call it a cover.
Yeah, that's probably fair. Although I guess maybe people will be disappointed that you won't be singing on that. You won't be singing that song, but it's okay.
Well, there's no lyrics on that song. I was trying to keep the joke going. I guess I could have sung the guitar part.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You should have.
All right. That's not even the right. That's like the Transylvania song. Whenever the vampire shows up, I don't know. That has nothing to do with this project.
It has nothing to do with anything we're talking about. But neither did. Well, we ended up talking about Venture Brothers and Mike Tyson Mystery. So I guess all that's out the window, right?
It's
Connecting
true.
things might be out the window.
It's true.
In this, your 15th appearance on the show.
Yeah, I guess at this point, it's just having somebody on at this point. It's not even an appearance, right? It's just like, oh, one of our co-hosts is back.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, at this point, if people don't know, I'll share all the interviews so you can kind of go back through, and the Disney villain segment, which is one of the most fun things I've ever done on this show.
Yeah.
So we're gonna throw that up as well. So
there's been some new Disney villains.
Yeah, I'm not really caught up on all the stuff. It's a lot of Encanto around here with a 1-year-old.
Yeah, Encanto
which is great,
has some good.
By the way,
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I was hesitant to watch it at first because everybody had said such good things, and whenever that happens, I get in that like mindset of, well, now I'm gonna hate it because everyone has built it up. But no, it was really good.
Yeah, there's no way for it to live up to expectations, right?
No, it's true. There's even like I like that some of the that more and more Disney movies now have like rap or almost rap in them.
They did that for you, by the way, just for you.
Oh, Just for if that wasn't in your version,
No.
the guy was podcasting instead.
Yes.
Actually, I think it's a woman who raps in Encanto, but yeah, she was podcasting.
Yeah, it's exactly how it happened.
Carrying the weight of this family is too much. You are now listening to the Encanto podcast, and I'm your host. Yeah, I was on before when you had your old co-host Bruno. We don't talk about Bruno on the show.
No, Bruno's no more. No. Yes, the entire movie. There's no singing. It's just me telling you what's happening.
It's amazing.
Thank you. I'm glad someone was able to enjoy my Encanto podcast. And you would think like, oh, they're doing an Encanto podcast. They're like diving into the backstories of all these characters. No, he's just reading you what happens in the movie.
It seems like he's watching the movie and reading the closed captions to us, but not singing. He's just saying the words to the songs.
And then it says singing in foreign language. Oh, okay. Yes, let's make that a thing.
I like when it says foreign language. And it's like, no one told you what language it was.
Nope.
You didn't get that in the when you were transcribing for your closed captioning.
Nope. You didn't figure out the foreign language in the movie Encanto.
Right.
You couldn't figure that one out.
Sometimes also you get like things like crying in Spanish. Or whatever, yes. Where it's like, that's not in Spanish. Like, that's not in Spanish. Just because the person speaks Spanish doesn't mean they're crying is in Spanish.
So it's
sorry.
So you're bilingual. So does that mean something different for you than it does for me?
When someone says crying in Spanish, yes,
that means something different for you,
because they would have just said llorando if they meant llorando. It means slightly. It's like poorly translated crying.
That's what they should put instead. Poorly translated crying. They should just have that in there.
I will say, I can't really. I'm one of those people, and probably people will hate me for this, but I'm one of those people who can't handle reading like subtitles. I have to watch it dubbed. It's very difficult for me. I will if there's no other option, but it's like real tough for me to pay attention to what they're saying and what's going on the screen.
That's fair.
But one of the weird problems with dubs is that they will do the sounds that people make, and people make sounds differently when they are talking in different languages. So sometimes when they're translated, it always is like a weird, like in Spanish, people often go like, "ay," like, which is just like an ow or like a oh, but like if they go like a, like that doesn't mean the same thing as I, like
like I is like but A is like a, like it's not the same thing. Yeah,
it happens a lot in anime where someone is breathing in like a way, and the voice actor will do the breathing, and if you're watching the subtitled version, it does not come off as weird because it's sounds that go with the language. But when they do it in English, sometimes it just has this like, and it's like, what? Why do you breathe like that? Like
that's an aroused moan is what that is.
Right. But it's just different sounds, or like that we make when we're filling time or whatever when we're talking in different languages. It's a thing about dubbing.
That's good to know. That's good to know. I like it. I don't know where I'm going to go from there. Okay, this is an opera. There we go. Encanto singing.
Yep.
Opera.
Yes.
An opera. That sounds like something completely new for you, at least based on the things from you that I've heard. And is that, so I guess, well, let me lead up with this question. How long has this 3-part project been in the works? Because you've mentioned before how you've kind of had a lot of this mapped out already. So was this part of that? Have you had this like 3-act opera in your head for like 5 years, or is this more recent where you decided, hey, let's do an opera?
Well, so I wasn't thinking about it as an opera. right? Like I wasn't thinking about it as 3 parts. I had this. I have like a 4-part Wormtooth plan that is based on the Suits of the Tarot, to loop it back to the beginning.
There we go.
Where the first one was Pentacles, Breach was Pentacles, Dave's Inferno was Swords. This trilogy is Cups. Originally, it was going to be one album, and then during like the pandemic, while I was doing editing and stuff for Dave's Inferno, I was also just kind of doing some writing, and a lot of the writing that I was doing much more loosely than I normally do. So I had a lot of demos, like a lot of loose demos, and I was, refining those. And at some point, I had the idea. I have this like end game, and I feel like spoiling the end game at the beginning of the album. Like, you'd have to have it in the art, you'd have to have all these other things and name it after that, and then it's not as I don't know. One of the things that is like really cool about Blair Witch is we barely see any actual proof of a Blair Witch.
Yes.
And the movie builds with this like, oh, it's about this, there's this going on, and then it gets more and more intense. And so
and then you never see it.
Kind of right. And so I was looking at that, and I was like I said, I got really into Westerns, and I was reading about the Western trilogy of The Man with No Name, which is For a Fistful of Dollars, For a Few Dollars More, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which is the one everyone knows because it's like really it got much more famous by that point. But when I was reading about it, there was like a lot of stuff that was taken or transcribed or opera tricks that they used in making their movie. Those movies, like a thing that I didn't know about them is that the director already had the score. Like he had gotten somebody to make the score for him, and when they were shooting, since they were shooting silent, he would just play the song that was going to be over the thing during the scene, and then sometimes the scene would end, and he would just keep the scene going until the song ended, and things like that. Like that, I really got into the idea of that, and so that's kind of where the idea of doing an opera got into my head. Of like operas are in 3 parts, I found out, and so I'm not like huge into opera. I had to do a lot of research once I started deciding I was going to do this as more of an opera, short of like rock operas. Like I know Tommy, but like I don't. It's not this. I know it's not the same, and mine isn't the same, But yeah, I wanted it to be. There's something about Wormtooth that I feel is an effort to be classy is like kind of a part of it. For as jokey as I tend to be, and as weird as the project gets, there's a level of fanciness, let's say, that Wormtooth has. The mask itself is quite fancy, and so I think that I kind of try to stay true to the mask a lot. Is this something that goes with that mask? Is this something that fits with that, if that makes sense?
Yeah, so everything kind of has to, despite all the different kind of directions that you go, everything still comes back to the central theme, right?
Right.
Yeah, which again means you have to listen to all of the things, the interviews and all the records to know exactly what's going on. So you're going to have to put in a lot of work, people. And
right. And it is, I think really what it is what I want more than anything is I want there to be a level beyond the one that you check out. Like, not you specifically, Pat, but you also. But let's say you listen to one song and you're like, oh, this is cool. I wonder what the context of this was on the album. I want there to be an album that kind of makes sense together so that you get that extra context. And when someone checks out the album and they hear like, oh, what's this interview that happens at the end on the last track, this like long last track, what is that? I want to find out more, that they can find another level deeper, because it, like I said, I want to make people think that they're in, I want to feel like they're in this magical world, this world that has these other things in it. And if you find one level, if I made 3 layers and you go 2 layers deep, great. If you go 3 layers deep, great. But you probably also think that there's a layer that you missed, because like if I did this, wouldn't I also do the next layer or what have you?
And that's why you're doing 3 parts. So we have to wait to dig into all those layers.
Yeah. Also, so the base concept, the first album, Breach, was about writer's block. The second album was about perfectionism. And this album is about imposter syndrome. And this is, all 3 of them are kind of about imposter syndrome in this overarching way. And to some extent, I think it's a thing that a lot of people deal with, but it's also a thing that I deal with a lot. And the Wormtooth project, I often feel like I am not at the level that I need to be to do the things I want to do. And so I kind of, especially for this project, which is about imposter syndrome, felt I had to push that. Right? Like, I can't do an opera. I shouldn't do an opera, And then it's like, then I should. Like, if I fail, it proves my point about imposter syndrome at the very least,
Yeah, so on any level, you're getting some kind of answer out of it, right? If you do it and it's great, like, oh, like of course I could have done an opera, because like why couldn't I do that if I decide to go in this direction with this project that has a lot of layers already? Why not add a couple more, right? And then if it's a flaming disaster, then it's like, oh well, of course it was going to be a disaster. Why did I think I could write an opera, right? Yeah,
right. Yeah.
We've all been there. I mean, creatives have kind of all been there. Like, yeah, why can't I make a concept album all by myself over 14 years? Why can't I do that? Well, not by myself, but why can't I do that? Yeah, all right, great. Or like, why can't I do this podcast for 7 or 8 years and then just keep doing it when no one hears it? Why can't I? Why can't I ask you, Alvaro? Why can't I do that?
There is no reason.
Which is why this still exists.
Right. And honestly, though, I think it's not even just like the podcast is a really great example. And I wonder if you get this ever, as someone who has made so many episodes, I'm sure you still sometimes have moments where you're like, ugh, I'm not going to be able to do this one.
Yeah.
Like, even though you clearly can, you've done all of these before.
Yep.
But like, there are times where I listen to old songs I've done, and then I go to try to write, and I'm like, well, I'm never going to write something as good as that guy did. Like, and it's not like I'm actively saying that because I know it sounds dumb. Like, that is me, but it doesn't feel like you anymore sometimes. Like, sometimes it feels like, well, I could write that before because X, Y, and Z, but now I couldn't, Like,
yeah, could I still, like, wow, I did a really good job of, like, these episodes that got a lot of people talking and people were kind of engaged with all this stuff. I can't do that again, can I? Like, that's a different guy back there. Like, now I'm this guy, I'm, Mr. New Dad guy over here. Now I'm just, my brain is fried. I can't keep doing this. And then, here I am, the kids won, and here I am still kind of doing maybe some of my best work, if I can say that for myself, which I hate doing. But
good.
Yeah,
I'm you still, should though. That's like,
I know I should. Thank you. Yeah, it's just like sometimes I feel like the show now, to talk about me for a minute or two,
sure, please,
has really hit kind of a nice groove in the last, I don't know, 4 months or so. Mm-hmm. And I don't really know what to attribute that to. I think like someone said, I had a band on, Ruby Bones is the name of the band. They're fantastic. Okay. They're from New Jersey. And one of them, I had them on maybe, I think the episode dropped like 3 weeks before my son was born. I'll put it in the show notes if you want to hear it. So it was suggested like, hey, why don't you put the song, like when you have a song featured, why don't you put that first and then do the rest of the show? So someone coming in to listen to the artist can hear that right away. I'm like, all right, no one's ever asked me, like no one's ever said that to me before, but I'm going to try it. So I started doing it, and the show has really kind of, I feel like that's really helped me with the flow of the program since I started doing that. I'm like, that sounds pretty great. Why didn't I do this the whole time? Like, this is great. And it's just like weird little tweaks like that I've made just on a suggestion from someone. It's like, yeah, I'll try it. And it really has worked out. So thank you to Chris from Ruby Bones.
Cool name. Very cool name.
Yeah, they're
What genre band are they?
they're a lot of he describes them as he's trying to be the Strokes. So
Cool.
so kind of like in that vein, I described the record at the time as it has a lot of singable guitar solos.
Cool.
As we were doing earlier, like like it's a lot of there are a lot of that on the record. It's called Paper Tiger, or no, it's called Paper Tiger is a Thrice song. What is the? Hold on, I need to figure this out. What is the goddamn record called? Why don't I know? Oh, this is so annoying. Why don't I? Lasertooth Tiger.
Do you mean Lasertooth Tiger? Their
Yes, I
album
do.
Lasertooth Tiger? Yeah.
Yes, Lasertooth Tiger. Paper Tigers is a Thrice song.
Oh my God. They use the same. I'm on their website right now.
Nice.
Rubybones.com.
There you go.
If you go to wormtooth.net, you'll notice that we use the same template.
Oh, really?
We use the same Squarespace template for our Ooh, this is cool.
I'm on
Got like a whole
wormtooth.net
witch
right
thing
now.
going on.
I like it.
We talk about I love to get meta.
Of course.
But do you think that the interview with Ruby Bones also went particularly well?
I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it easier to interview a group of people than it is to interview one person?
In some ways, yes, because then like there's less. I guess it also depends on the specific people you're talking to, but there's kind of less chance for dead air because one of us somewhere will have some kind of input on whatever the topic is. And so there's less of a chance to be like, huh. And there's a pause like, oh, now what do I have to do? So there's less chance for that, but it's more intimidating to talk to more than one person. Like I did an interview one time with a band of 5. And that was it was really fun. The Wild and Free, they're a 3-piece now, but at the time there were 5 of them. And it was really intimidating because they were all there and I'm just like, huh, how am I going to talk to 5 people at the same time?
Was it somewhat hectic?
Yeah, a little bit.
Would you say that the interview was kind of wild and free?
I think we're done here.
Yo, I've got to say, having your video when I said that and seeing your actual reaction felt good. That's not something that I've had before, when we've done the podcast. Getting to see the face drop entirely from realizing this awful joke that the person you're talking to has made. There was also, I love that because you get to see you doing math of like how much of that sentence, like how many sentences were lead up to this dumb joke.
Yeah, because I knew you were going to do it. Like I knew it because we've known each other for a while, and I'm like, he's going to make because I said the name of the band, he's going to try to work that in to a joke he's going to make, and the wheels started turning. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
It is a cool band name too. Like that is another good band name. The Wild and Free.
Yeah, they're great. I don't know if they listen, but Ruby Bones, The Wild and Free, thanks for coming on the show. Loved having you.
Awesome.
Come on back.
So this does pose a question. Did we play a song of mine at the beginning?
No. For interviews, I do it at the end because I want you to sell it and set it up. Although I don't have, like you mentioned when you sent me this press release, there was a link to download the album, but I don't see one. So I don't have a track list or anything, I don't think.
I thought that was in the email, but...
Because you sent it to me on Facebook. Maybe that's why.
The press release, at the bottom of the press release.
Okay.
There's a link that says to listen to a press copy of the album, click here.
Maybe I may have actually clicked on the wrong thing. Which would not be out of character for me. I am known to do that. Let me see if I can find it here. There you are.
That's just one song.
Oh, my. Well, I guess that's the one we're going to play.
Well, that's not the one I want you to play because that's the one that's already out. I want to give you... I always give you a Sclusie. That's my whole thing.
Oh, there
I give
Okay.
I give the Melting Pat podcast a Sclusie.
Oh, thanks, man. There, you know what? I
that's
clicked
my
on the
motto.
wrong. I don't think I clicked on this the last time. Okay, no problem.
That's actually my motto. I don't know if you knew that. It's the Wormtooth motto. We give the Melting Pat podcast to Sclusie. Short for exclusive.
All right, so now I have it. Now, I should have probably found this before we started talking, but I feel like the other part of that, like I think about that when someone has an album coming out and they haven't released much, I always think like, should I listen first or should I wait and let them kind of tell me what it's about? And I feel like I didn't do it on purpose this time, but I kind of like not knowing what's coming, like what we're about to hear, because I'd rather have you kind of let everyone know, like, hey, you've never heard this before, but here's the kind of thing, like we've been talking about, like here's the kind of thing that we're trying to tell. And so I feel like without having prior knowledge of it, you might be able to dive in a little bit more.
Right.
That's just an excuse because I forgot to click on the press release and didn't listen to the song. But I made it work. That sounds good, right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
The difference is you get to kind of ask questions from more what the audience's perspective might be.
Yes.
If they are a new audience member.
Yes.
Whereas if you do the interview the other way, then you're really just doing it for fans of the band, right?
Which may not be everyone who listens to the episode.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so some of them are actually, I'm realizing I had to rename one because there was a typo.
Nice. Love it. But yeah, but I like that. I like that I'm going in blind here. I think it's great because then I'm not asking questions specifically about like,
sure,
hey, what happened with this song or what does this mean?
Yeah,
I kind of get the whole story.
Song ends like this.
Yeah, I kind of get the whole story at the same time, much like everyone else who's going to hear the album in. Wait, when did I say it's coming out? It's coming out the
September 2nd. Well, not any of the people that listen to this because they'll probably go to the Indiegogo and get the early download and download it.
I hope they do. But yeah, this is coming out 6 days before the album.
Yes.
This episode is coming out 6 days before the album.
And the Indiegogo ends the same day as the album is dropped. So
okay,
if it's between that, if you're listening to it between that time, which I'm sure you are, you probably saw, a new Melting Pat. And just like immediately like stopped what you were, turned off The Godfather, and then like started watching or started listening to the Melting Pat. And you're like, oh, is this what I've heard? It's got Wormtooth. I've got to. Oh no, it's a new Worm. Okay, it has Wormtooth on there a lot.
Or they go, this guy again. Jesus.
This one I've always like kind of had a very industrial and electronic basis, I guess. Where like I add other instruments, I add other things. There's cello on Breach, there's some violin on Dave's Inferno, but there's like a very industrial as the building block for everything. And on this track, on this album, I think it's a little more organic than that. There's a lot more guitar. There's a lot more, in general, just I feel like it has a much more organic feel than the other two.
Okay. I like it. So you are, even though you're coming back on the show to talk about the same project, you're consistently evolving it to a point where we still have enough to go for an hour.
Right. That's the goal.
Which is great. Which is kind of
that's my other motto. Evolve so that we have enough to talk about it for an hour.
Fantastic. I love it. So, all right. So we're not going to play The Man in the Long Coat. So which song are we going to feature here as we wind up?
I think No Gods, No Masters. I mentioned that Shadow Studios is working. We actually shot the music video already. They're doing editing and stuff.
Okay.
For it. But I think No Gods, No Masters would be the best one to do because it's going to be the next single. You can get a exclusive first. Oh
wow!
Access.
So I'm premiering a single on the show.
Yeah.
Oh
Again,
wow!
Every time. I've done this on purpose every time.
I love it. Thank you for that. Yes. No Gods, No Masters. All right. So tell me. I want to know as much as you're willing to share about the song everyone's about to hear for the first time, probably. No Gods, No Masters.
So the original beat, it was produced by Ostubash. I did some stuff on that afterwards. There's group vocals. There's actually like a whole bunch of people on this track. Anami Fatal, who I have worked with a lot. She was on several songs on Breach. She's on a bunch of the songs on this album. Agnes Klein, also, who was the cellist on Breach, is on this song as well.
Nice.
And then I've been expanding Wormtooth, so there are actually more members of Wormtooth. I've been practicing with a band, and the band isn't playing on this track, but two of the members, A Classical, who was on Breach as Psycho Ra, now goes by A Classical. He's my backup guy at shows, and Ghostling, who does some singing on this, did some flute on the track Control, and I think on side B, which is the last track. But yeah, No Gods, No Masters is the first song that really I started working on that made me realize I had a project that I was building, as opposed to just some loose demo songs. Like, it was the one that really took shape the fastest.
Okay, so this one was, it's the third track on the album, but this is the one that you sat down and you got through however much of the song and said, yep, we got it. Now we have to build a world around this.
Yeah, honestly, I was working on this. I think I had a verse and a chorus when Shadow Studios asked if they could do a music video for me. And I was like, okay, well, let me finish this song so that you can do that music video. And as I started working on it, the other songs I started getting ideas that didn't work for this song that, became parts of the other songs. And then suddenly I was filling in gaps. And then, we've been working on ideas for the music video for a while, but really a lot of the ideas for doing the AI stuff came from our ideas for the music video. And there's a whole bunch of AI stuff that I've been doing to promote this album with, art, digital paintings and stuff. But so this is like kind of the foundational song in a way.
Okay. I love it. And even though I've not heard it, I'm sure it's great. And I'm sure we're going to get, because I've known this project since its inception, I think. And kind of knowing the way things are structured, even though this isn't going to be the same vein as those things. Like, if you know Wormtooth, you know that you're getting the story, enough of the story to go, that's interesting. Let me keep going to see where else this leads.
I guess this album has a lot of different peaks and valleys. Like the fader on genre got switched around a lot during the tracks. This is the most rap, like straight rap song, like your classic boom bap rap song. There are some elements of it that aren't like that, but this is, if you like Wormtooth rapping, this is really the one, the standout track for that.
And if you don't like Wormtooth rapping, then you probably stopped listening to this interview. So
that, I feel like more and more there are people that like the noise stuff I do. I have a group of people I send out my tracks to get notes from, and because I don't have I can't afford to go to an expensive studio where they do all that work. So I just have like a group of people I send stuff to, and they tell me, hey, your drums are bad or whatever, and
hey, you suck.
Yeah, that's track 1, this is really good, love this. Track 2, you suck. Track 3, I don't know, maybe turn the volume down on the bass. But I have gotten a lot of notes about the ambient noise stuff that I do on my albums, which to me I always kind of thought as like interludes or between song things, but I have now started thinking as more part of what I do, I guess. And there's a lot of that on this album.
I like it. So again, consistently evolving the project to give me exclusives. Fantastic.
Yes.
Love it. Every bit of it.
So this is No Gods, No Masters.
Yeah. I like it a lot. Look at you. You sound like a pro. We're not done yet, but I feel like we should have waited because, I have to, let everybody know. The album comes out September 2nd. The Indiegogo also ends that day, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so you can still get some stuff. No VHS tapes, but you have cassettes and card packs and posters and Those things are still available?
Right. Yes. And there may be VHS tapes again. I just have to find a reliable source for a VCR that I can use. I need 2 VCRs is the thing.
Okay. Fair.
To duplicate the tape.
Got it. Okay. So none of that for now, but there's a shirt, there's artwork, there's all kinds of stuff at the Indiegogo. All of this will be in the show notes. Very easy to get to because I'll forget where it is. So I'll just put it all in one spot for me and for you.
Yep.
So yeah, Alvaro, thanks a lot for doing this, man. Once again, your 17th time on the show.
Yep.
Just as fun as the other ones.
Yeah. And thank you so much for having me. Honestly, it's always fun.
Oh, of course, man. I'm glad to hear you say that. So Wormtooth, the album, The Man in the Long Coat. I'm sorry, let's do this right. It's the Yellow Tapes Act 1, The Man in the Long Coat, drops September 2nd. Here is We Just Said It, and I just closed the tab. No gods, no gods, no masters. It's the Melting Pat. We're coming right back.
Till you get what you're after. Old frauds and bastards, so calm in the face of disaster. No gods, no masters. Don't stop till you get what you're after. Old frauds and bastards, so calm in the face of disaster. No gods, no masters. Damascus steel is the blade of the axe. An axe we wield to slash planks from the ash. Ash is to ash, facts is fact. No gods, no frauds, no aftermath. After they tell all that what's past is past, you only dodge from the past until it flashes back. Never think about God. Who's got the brass to bring the brass to task? Know that odd little gas can make disaster crack. Get a class backs with that basilisk strap. Aristocrat, still flawed, still at it. Practice the facade, got him past imbalance. Mangled and gone, flogged from the black chalice. Got him tangled in gauze with this balancing act. Better run, little rascals, the mask is back. No gods, no masters. Don't stop till you get what you're after. All frauds and bastards, so calm in the face of disaster. No gods, no masters. Don't stop till you get what you're after. Old frauds and bastards, so calm in the face of disaster. No gods, no masters, and facts is facts. No gods, no aftermath. Go and tell disaster that the mask is crap. Tesseract back with that banana. Scorn, thicker than thistles and thorns. Wars hidden in different forms. Sure, I've fiddled with sigils before. Be warned, this one's riddle is sword. My core quickly withers before him. Yellow cape, black crown, misery bore him. Fellow kings bow down, whisper their scorn, implore. Tick be fickle, AOMs of course. Little can stay him, be sure. Be brittle, be patient, stay core. Lay sigils, delay him, retort. And trickery stay born of similar stations as taxes and death. Hoards infinite patience and practice and bet. He grows in your skin and he waits in the cracks. No gods, no masters, the mask is back. No gods, no masters. Don't stop till you get what you're after. All frauds and bastards, so calm in the face of disaster. No gods, no masters. Don't stop till you get what you're after. All frauds and bastards, so calm in the face of disaster.
And there you have it. Wormtooth, No Gods, No Masters. The Yellow Tapes Act 1. The Man in the Long Coat. Coming September 2nd. Wormtooth.net for more from him. All of those things. The Indiegogo will be at the show in the show notes as well. All the links to all his stuff will be in the show notes. But if you want to go directly, go do the thing, wormtooth.net. There you go. Thank you, Alvaro, for joining me once again. Always a pleasure when you are able to come on the show and just talk about all kinds of stuff. And we do have a bonus at the end. So stick around for that or not. Do whatever you want to do. I'm not your dad. Can't tell you what's going on. But there we go. The Melting Pat, Next Level Network. Thank you. And there we go. We're just about done. We added a bit. I had a plan for that. I was going to do the actual thing and then go higher a little bit at the end, and then decided to not do that and improvise. And I'm sure that if anyone is still left, that you appreciated that from me. Listen, if you are if you're a longtime fan of me, you know that I'm going to do that. You know I'm going to just have a little fun once we get to the riff, and then maybe the artist will like it. Maybe they won't. Maybe they won't listen. I have no idea. But my thanks to Alvaro for joining me. Wormtooth, the man in the long coat, the Yellow Tapes Act 1. The Yellow Tapes, man. It's coming out September 2nd. Still have time for the Indiegogo, so go do that over there. Whatever you want to do. So go check all of that out. And that is all for today. We're good, right? All right. TheMeltingPat.com for all of my stuff. There's a network tab to find out what's going on all around with all the other shows we have here. So go check that out. I'm working on if you know how to format HTML things to make them look pretty, let me know, because I'm not paying for Squarespace. I'm keeping my free site. So let me know how to make it look better. All right, the network tab over there. Also, there's a subscribe tab. You can sign up for the monthly newsletter if that's free. And the Patreon, that is $5 a month. You get a bonus, usually a bonus video and or audio. I try to do that whenever we have time. The last two that we did were just Jill and I were sitting on the couch or wherever talking about stuff. And I said, ooh, let me record this for the patrons. So we have those. And sometimes there will be some more segments going on. Today, no video because we had a guest and I didn't do the video. So there you go. Didn't have time to do that either. I had to take apart a table this morning. So there we go. But this will be up. You'll get, at the very least, you'll get the show a couple days early and uncensored. So there's your incentive right there. I'll also do some writing. I'll be doing I'll do some song demos and whatever else you'd like to hear or see. If you want a special episode, let me know. That costs more money, but there you go. All that stuff at themeltingpat.com. Let me know what is going on over there. All right? All right, there we go. We good? We are good. No G-Love today. We will have a bonus after the credits here, and I think that's all. All right, next week, I don't know. So I have an idea for next week because it's a big wrestling weekend, and so I would like to have someone on to talk about both shows that are going on that weekend. If it can't happen, then I'll do a regular show, or we may have a guest. That's the thing. I don't know. I may have some more interviews coming up soon, so we shall see. So come on back next time for all the fun. If you are into wrestling and would like to chat with me, my schedule is very limited, but let me know, and we can talk about both the WWE Clash at the Castle and AEW All Out that are both happening next weekend. So there we go. Help me out. Maybe? No? All right. Whatever you want to do or not. Just go have fun, okay? This has been an 8-Boiler production. So until next time, my friends, have fun. Be safe. Thank a veteran. Wear your mask, wash your hands, get vaccinated and boosted when you can. And of course, don't do anything I wouldn't do. We are good, right? Yes. Thank you for listening. I love you so much. I'll talk to you next time with whatever or whoever is going to come on and have all the fun. All right? All right, we're good to go. I got stuff to do. You've been inside the Melting Pat on the Next Level Network. Go crap open a cold one. And we're clear. Fantastic.
Great.
We did it.
I thought of this and didn't want to segue back to a thing while we were still recording, but the idea of now that Marvel and Star Wars are owned by Disney, there is a whole different subset of like several whole subsets of Disney villains we haven't talked about.
That's true. That is
Mr.
true.
Burns
Oh my
is now a
God.
Disney villain.
All right, we're gonna have to. Okay, all right. At some point, then in the next whenever, we're gonna have to go through and find some more Disney villains, and I'll find the categories we had. I'm sure I still got it written down somewhere. We'll have to do that. This is still recording, by the way, so we'll put this in at the end as a teaser for the next time you come back on the show. We'll do more because now we have more Disney villains to pick from, and not just like new Disney movies.
A couple more, right? No, it's like they've like tripled the amount.
Yeah,
in a way.
I love it. I also see you work with a Jeff Benkert. I think he and I went to high school together. I went to high school with a Jeff Benkert.
Jeff, he's a writer. I met him through playing Magic the Gathering. Honestly, Jeff Benkert, his writing was instrumental in this project. He's been a writing partner of mine for a while. For all the lore stuff, I kind of write that with him.
Nice. All right, I'm leaving this in at the end. Hi, Jeff.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you since high
there's
school,
like an interview,
but hey, man,
or something, he helps me with all of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's great.
Wonderful. Yeah, I was just
real
scrolling
great
through,
guy
like,
too.
Yeah, I haven't seen him since 2006, but I'm sure he's still great. Not that we were like
that makes sense.
good
Close
friends,
or anything, right.
but like I think we know who each other is. I don't know.
Yeah, I only really know him from playing Magic the Gathering.
Okay.
But then we kept in touch.
And now he's your right hand almost.
Yeah. He was very instrumental in the whole Man in the Long Coat writing in the original. And then he helped me do the interview with for Dave's Inferno. And then there's a set of interrogations on side B of this album, and he helped me with those.
All right. Well, it sounds like I'm gonna have to have Jeff on the show then to talk specifically about working with you. I think that's going to be great.
I would listen. That'd be interesting.
That might be a lot of fun. So we'll leave this in at the end of the show. Hi, Jeff. I don't know if you listen or if you will, but there we go.
Well, I mean, now I'll tell him that we talk about him on this show.
After
an hour and a half.
I
never went to school with this guy. I don't know who he's
I mean,
talking
it could also be a different person. Like that's also true. But who knows? Maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't. But
yeah,
we're good. We got plenty. Thanks, man.
All right.